I'm Mary McDonald, the mayor of the city of Trotwood, and this is Trotwood Talks. Trotwood Talks talks about everything that has to do with the city of Trotwood. And today I am proud to have as my guest Mr. Chad Downing, and he is the executive director of the Trotwood TCIC. So Chad, thank you for coming and joining us today.
Thank you for having me back, Mayor. Appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. So our conversation today is about all that's big and great happening at our industrial park. So we're going to spend our time now talking about the potential for that area, the fact that information that you will want to know about that area, and just how great things are happening over there at our industrial park. So Chad, take it away.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Mayor. For those who haven't driven down Olive Road by the intersection of Wolf Creek Pike, there's quite a substantial investment and change happening there. On the corner, as you'll see right behind the Slemker Auto building, is a 200,000 square foot spec building. This is a Class A building, which is the highest quality. It meets all the new specifications and needs of new companies looking to come into the area. And this building really sets our industrial park out and makes us competitive as a community when it comes to attracting new companies, because it meets all the criteria that companies are looking for. Furthermore, this is one of only 2 buildings in the region that meet these new Class A qualifications with the higher ceiling heights and the amenities that are needed. So it really puts us in a position to be the next best option for those companies that aren't coming to build their own, but are looking for space to lease. The only other building right now is in Union. And with our development partners at Gated Properties Global, who are the key developer on this site and close partner with the community, we expect to see this site begin to attract companies as it begins to finish. The project was started back in April, June of this year, and it will be completed in December, early January. They may have some final items on the interior. But as residents who've driven by will have noticed and seen, all the walls are up.
It's amazing.
The ceilings are going in, and they're really beginning to move very quickly downhill to finishing the project. And they're very close to beginning to complete the landscaping and all the paving of the parking and driveways at this point. And at this point, the developers informed me that they've had a lot of interest, especially as the project has moved towards completion, and especially as a result of the splash from our groundbreaking event at the end of September,
Yes.
where we hosted many partners of the community to come out and celebrate the opportunity. And the reason we waited for that groundbreaking at that time was so that you could have an idea of how large the building was going to be and see some of the scope.
I could not believe it. I could not. First of all, I couldn't believe when we took the trees down just how much land there was over there, how huge a footprint that is. And looking at it now, it is absolutely amazing knowing that that's just one portion of what this project is going to look like. So that's a huge, huge project. So tell me, what kind of business? We know this is a spec building.
That's
what
right.
kind of businesses would locate in a space like that?
Great question. And really what we're expecting is anything from logistical companies that are providing logistical services to bigger companies around the region, to those maybe smaller manufacturers that might need space. This could be anything from advanced manufacturing to food manufacturing. Because of the quality of these buildings, it really has a wide swath of companies that would look at this as a prospective opportunity. We fully expect this to create jobs that are going to be in the living wage category. That's a part of our requirements for the support the city has provided. But furthermore, we expect this to attract companies that really will have sizable numbers of employees and actually use the space for the long term, more than just your typical warehousing. We're expecting that we'll have maybe some of that, but there's going to be a complementation of different types of companies. This specific building can become home to up to 4 companies.
Okay.
The developer will split it to its smallest division into 50,000 square foot increments.
At the smallest.
At the smallest. So ideally, there would be 1 large company there, but we could have 2, we could have 3, or we could have 4 if they split it down to those 4 sections. And once this building is filled up, as you alluded to, the partnership with Gated Properties Global is to continue to develop within the industrial park. Immediately on the site that's next to this, going to the west, what you'd be able to see is the prospect for another 200,000 square foot building or larger with the amount of size of acreage we have there. And they have a pre-approval from the Planning Commission for that project. Whatever the final plans would still have to be approved by council, but we already have the process in place that if they were to get a company today that said, I want you to build a building for me, or if they fill this building up and decide the market is strong enough to go and do another spec building, we're positioned and ready to do that. And even more so, we're also working on the sites across the street where everyone would recognize it being the established industrial park. One of the reasons that these buildings weren't built there was because those land parcels aren't big enough for the size of building we're talking about here.
Yes.
200,000 square foot building is quite large. The only place you're really finding those are around the Dayton airport right now. So the reason we moved over there was to get the established larger buildings in place, which are needed. But we're also looking to work with some of these smaller businesses that may need not 50,000 square feet, but maybe 40,000 square feet or below. On those other sites over on Prosperity Drive.
Yes.
And right now we're actually in preliminary discussions with the company about locating on one of those sites, which should be very exciting to have more ground moving right there in the industrial park, right on one of the greenfield sites, as they refer to them, where they're positioned and dig ready for a company to come in. And of course, this is only burgeoned by Stratacache, and there are continued work out of the former Syncreon building there. That's a great partner to have in the community. But we also have some other sites right in this immediate area, which are a keen opportunity for the community going forward. We're home to one of the last few underdeveloped rail spurs in the region. And the Trotwood CIC, along with the city, own 2 key parcels adjacent to this rail spur. And right now, we've been working with everyone from CSX, the rail line operator, Jobs Ohio and Dayton Development Coalition, to make sure that this site is positioned for companies that are seeking rail opportunities.
I was excited having them there at the groundbreaking to be able to see this for themselves, because we're again talking about the location of Olive Road and Wolf Creek Pike. And again, I'm sure people have driven by wondering what is happening there. But it is actually happening, and it's a great, great opportunity for the city of Trotwood, and we're excited about it. So let's talk a little bit about the pens, and then we'll go back into that.
Absolutely.
And the kind of partners that they are here with the city of Trotwood.
Absolutely. And for the viewers who haven't maybe seen their previous Trotwood Talks with the pens, we strongly encourage you to go back and take a watch of that to see who they are as individuals. But this is a family business at the end of the day. That's a father and son team that are also the owners of Westbrook Village Apartments, and really a strong relationship was truly established with city leadership and the gated team after the 2019 Memorial Day tornadoes.
Yes.
Like the tornado did for most of us, while it was devastating, it brought us back stronger with better partners. And I think that's one thing that we can confidently say is that through that, the trials and tribulations of that, we've established a partner for the long term when it comes to the pens and their company, Gated Properties Global. They've begun to step more into the industrial space, and through the engagement with the community and really looking at the key opportunity here in the Dayton region, they saw that Trotwood was, as they like to refer to, a hidden gem. Yeah. And I think more people are beginning to recognize that. And certainly that's being evidenced by the amount of attention that we've had lately from the news media, as well as some of the listings that we have here as a result of this development. People are beginning to see that momentum. And what we're finding is many people don't want to be first, but they're very happy to be second or third. And we will welcome anyone who's ready to be second or third.
Absolutely. Our doors are open, everyone. Our doors are open. But our Trotwood CIC is having phenomenal success, not only with what's happening on Main Street, but having this project move forward. This is probably one of the larger developments that we've had here in the city of Trotwood since the Salem Mall. I mean, literally what's happening with our city is it's absolutely exploding with development.
Absolutely. Well, this 200,000 square foot building it represents an $18 million investment. Now, that does not count any potential tenant improvements, machinery, or equipment.
Right.
That's just for the shell of this building. So we're going to be easily talking about $20 million plus investment at this site. Not to mention all of the jobs and obviously the tax revenue that will create for the city to reinvest into itself. But really the key opportunity for residents to pick up jobs right here in the community. One of the beautiful aspects of this too, and further evidencing the great partnership with the Pens and the gated team is the way that we needed to configure this site. It was going to disrupt the current trajectory of the Wolf Creek Bike Trail.
Yes.
Now, while that at first was a concern, what we realized with the partners we have was that they were willing at their cost to reroute it around the perimeter of their property. They're going to landscape it beautifully because they see that as an amenity. And quite frankly, the ideal outcome would be that residents from the community could ride their bicycles to work right there, while also being close enough to Main Street to go and utilize the new services and restaurants and things that will be coming with the development going along there. And again, those two sites, the industrial park and Main Street, are close enough together where the economic synergy can work, but they're not right on top of each other where they're going to conflict. So we're uniquely positioned, I think, to have those sites for companies who want to have that hometown feel, not be up in, a large industrial park like the Dayton Airport region, but actually be in a place where they can jump in their car and go to a restaurant, be in the community within a few moments. And employees, quite frankly, can ride their bike or walk to work, which is an exciting prospect for our residents.
That's right. Literally driving by, you can feel that it blends in with the community. You can see the extra effort that zoning has done and the work that you all have done to make sure that this comes and fits into that hometown feel, because there are a number of homes over in that area that are not very far away from the industrial park, but it doesn't stark you to see the industrial park and then to see the residential area that butts up right next to it.
That's exactly right. And the best part about the type of building we have here is residents don't have to have concern about heavy industrial. We're not talking about smelting or anything like that. We're talking about, light manufacturing that's going to be clean. It's not going to create undue sound or burden on the residents. Quite frankly, will be a significant opportunity for the community. And even more so, what we can fully expect is many of these new businesses will become members of our chamber. They're going to become engaged in our community. And every time we welcome a new corporate partner, it's a real opportunity for Trotwood to establish itself as the welcoming community it is with them. And I think what most have found when they've come and actually step foot into the community, they find that Trotwood is extremely welcoming. We are not taking them for granted. And even more so, we want to engage them to work with our students, to be a part of the fabric of this community, not just here to do their 9-to-5 work, if you will.
That's amazing. And those partnerships are really what make companies want to be in a community and make communities want to be a part of something as large as this. I think it's such an exciting time for me to see our city go from probably not knowing which direction we were going to go in to actually seeing the growth and development that's happening, that should be happening here in this particular corridor. Our adjacent to 75 and 70 and 49 has been phenomenal. So maybe talk a little bit about why some of the choices we're making now are making such a difference being located in this area.
Absolutely. It's a great point, Mayor. Given our proximity to I-70 and 75, most everyone knows this is a very attractive region, especially for those who are in logistics or wanting to locate closer to some of these mega projects. Right now, we are within an hour to 45-minute drive time of all of the three mega projects in the state of Ohio: Semcorp in Sydney, Intel in Columbus, as well as the new Honda LG plant. That puts us in a really great position to attract their suppliers, their sub-entities, and anyone who wants to begin to work with those. So that is a key aspect for us that's new. But going back to the historical infrastructure of these locations and the connectors they refer to at US 35 and State Route 49, this really presents a great opportunity that hasn't been tapped into as strong yet. And I think what a lot of people are recognizing is traffic is always a concern. While distance may be something, you don't want to be sitting in a row of trucks as well. So what it's showing our companies are looking at us is we can differentiate ourselves by being right off the connector. From this site it's less than a 1-minute drive from the connector to this site.
Exactly. Amazing.
And it keeps that traffic out of the core of our community. So we're not expecting this to increase truck traffic north on Olive Road or on Main Street or any in our residential communities. This will keep that traffic solely, exclusively to Wolf Creek, maybe Little Richmond, and up, of course, Olive Road through those areas, getting them to the connector and then quickly up to State Route 70 or 75 and on with their business. So it's really a great opportunity and a time for us. We're looking at other areas, given the proximity to 49 and these resources, that we can begin to position ourselves for development into the future. But we're very excited by the long-term partnership we have in place with the Penns and their gated team. Again, we're looking at what was about a $65 million investment, but could easily expand beyond that given some increasing costs, but certainly the propensity and opportunity of sites that we are looking at now in context of newer needs and opportunities. Since we started this, the size needs for companies has gone up both in square footage as well as in land mass. So we've had to look critically at what do we have available to us, and we're putting everything on the table right now so we're not missing any opportunities for our community.
That's great. It's wonderful. And the exciting thing for us is, again, we're talking about living wage jobs coming into the Trotwood community. We know that that's what it actually takes for our citizens to see this benefit and for the city to grow into the community that we all know and love. Well, I'd like to thank you so much for joining us today. Again, I'm sure we'll have continued conversations about economic development. Mr. Chad Downing, the Executive Director of the Trotwood CIC, doing a phenomenal job. And we are excited to talk about all things City of Trotwood. Thank you so much, Mr. Downey.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you all. Thank you. Bye-bye.